I remember it was probably like the second month that I worked here, and Jackie went on vacation, and they were like, "Well, Paige, like, can you like take over for Jackie's stuff while she's gone?" And I'm like, "Yup, I can do it." And I was like, I just want them to know that like I can handle this, and like I will do whatever it takes so that you felt confident, so that you could focus on the things that you needed to be successful and, making more sales. You know what I mean?
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Talking Lots. I'm really excited for this one. We have somebody in the studio, Paige Perkins, who, has really come from a background in physical. She's literally a doctor of physical therapy. Yeah. It's what my wife is going to be for school right now. And Paige has joined our team, and if you don't know, she has a podcast of her own with her husband, the Perks and Paving. So we're gonna dive into a little bit of that, and what brought you here, and how does healthcare even relate to the paving world, like to what you're doing now. So why don't you start off and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So as Eli was saying, I went to school for physical therapy. When I was in high school, I decided to do some volunteering, and that was kind of where I felt like I was going to fit best. My guidance counselor recommended it to me, and I'm like, yep, this is for me. I loved it. And, after I did all my volunteering, got all my prereqs in undergrad, got into PT school and started working in the field, in 2017, I realized that I just felt like something was missing. I love helping people, and I want to make a difference, but I felt like I was having a hard time doing that as effectively as I had hoped. It's one of those things that, I felt like I was bringing the negativity home. It's not, you don't want to be negative. You don't want to be sad. You don't want to be those things. And when you are those things, that's what the people around you end up being, fearful. And I figured, I need to make a change. I can't live my life like this, and feel like there's something more for me out there. So, thought I was gonna get into medical sales, so started down that journey. And, it's hard to get into medical sales. People, that's the thing right now. Everyone wants into medical sales. And I was interviewing for jobs, and the opportunities that were presenting that I thought would be a good fit initially ended up, that it just didn't seem like it was going to be the right work-life balance, needing to be on call 24/7, needing to lead surgeries, tell the surgeon what to do.
That's crazy.
So I wanted to do medical sales, and while that seemed really cool, I want to be able to spend time with my family and have that separation. I don't want to be, because the example that particular job gave me at the time, they were like, if you're out with family or friends on a Saturday night and you get a call, are you going to be able to leave? He was like, it was my 21st birthday, and I had all of my friends and family in, and I had to leave. And I'm like, I don't know if that's exactly the opportunity I'm looking for. So I kept searching, and things weren't really falling in onto my plate the way I had hoped until Angel,
my wife.
Yes, your wife, was working with my husband, Mark, and she just was like, I know Paige is looking to get into sales, and, it's not really going the way she had hoped, and Eli is just so happy at the pavement group. Like, maybe she should take a look and, see if she thinks it would be something she'd be interested in. And I talked with you, met with Brian, and the rest is history. I knew immediately after I left that interview that I was assuming that you guys wanted to hire me, I knew I wanted to be here. So, a lot has gone into it, but I think, I knew for my family and the sake of mine and Mark's relationship, I couldn't come home anymore not being fulfilled. I needed to make a change, and that's what I did, and here we are. So
no, that's amazing. I believe the same exact thing. Like I couldn't imagine working at a place to where, like, maybe if you make good money or something,
Yeah.
like that's one, but even working there and coming home and bringing home a bunch of baggage and like,
Right.
I mean,
And
that's tough.
Right. And I'm not saying I mean healthcare is great, and obviously like people need it. And I hope that physical therapists are provided an environment sooner rather than later that's going to set patients up for success, and therapists, and something needs to change. And I
Yeah, so I'd love to dive into that a little bit. So, there's a lot to unpack there with your whole story.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you guys want to hear more about Paige's story, go check out her and her husband's podcast, The Perks in Paving.
Yeah.
Every episode is packed with humor, with laughs, it's great. It's
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
And you can hear more details about your story, about Mark's story.
Yeah, specifically episode 5 if you're looking to hear like the career switch story. So
yeah, but I would love to dive into that a little bit.
Yeah.
For somebody who maybe they're in the medical field. You went to school for how many years?
7 years.
So 7 years you
From
poured your
undergrad
life.
and grad school, 7 total straight
Yeah,
through.
so you poured 7 years of your life into going to school. Spent a whole bunch of money to go to school, and like that was probably your life for 7 years, right? And you go out. How many years did you actually work as a physical therapist?
Like 4.5, 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you add all that up. It's more than 10 years you spent your life devoted to that.
Yeah.
So somebody who maybe has spent years and years and years building a career in another industry, what advice would you give to people who are maybe looking to make a switch? And it doesn't have to be to the pavement group. It could be to something else.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give to people?
I
looking to make
think
that?
just being willing to take the risk, because like for instance for me, I knew worst case scenario, you can always go back to doing what you're doing. I keep my license. I can always go back to being a physical therapist, but best case scenario, I find something entirely better. So taking the risk, going outside of your comfort zone, making the connections, asking the questions, making doing the networking, all those things are going to.
That's huge.
Yeah.
The networking and the connections.
Yeah, and that's what people ask. They're like, well, how did you find this opportunity? And I know I was very blessed, and sometimes it's just you are in the right place at the right time, and knew the right, like obviously Angel and being married to you and working with Mark. Like it was an easy transition for me, but I still had to be willing to take that risk. And there was a lot of fear on my end of like, what are people going to say, think, are they going to laugh? I spent so much money, so much time. It's really my entire identity. Like, am I crazy for doing this, And from there, I think just being willing and having the support from family and friends to make the jump.
Did you have the support initially?
I did, yeah. And I am super grateful because I think that would have added a whole other tier of anxiety. I don't really have much anxiety normally, but I feel that for the first 6 months, I don't know, every time I talked about it with someone, I'm like, they probably think I'm absolutely nuts. Like
Sure.
they probably do. But the feeling that I got when I came here made it all just like not feel important anymore. And that every single time I came to work, and the more I was just happier and happier here, I'm like, I made the right decision. But I think for people who are going through it, like sometimes the grass isn't always greener. Like I made a jump and I got lucky, but sometimes it's the best path you could have ever traveled to. You know, so I think just being willing to take the risk and just knowing you're never going to lose the experiences and the degrees that you've already earned. So
that's great. That's really great advice. And to anyone that's listening, I would say, if it's okay with you, definitely reach out to Paige maybe and ask if there's any.
For sure. I know that's like a facet of our podcast is having more people come on to tell their stories because in addition to mine and Mark's story, it's we've talked to people who, for instance, Daniel Wright and Kelsey. I mean,
Yeah.
Kelsey just left nursing, and she's working with Daniel now, and like talking with them, having them tell their story, because it seems, it doesn't seem as common, but it's way more common than you think. Like, people make these jumps all the time.
Yeah.
You just have to have the courage to do it and surround yourself with the people that are going to lift you up and make you feel like it's going to be okay. And but that's the best part. Surround yourself with those people.
I love it. I love it. So, obviously going through PT school and like doing all that schooling, like I'm watching my wife right now do that.
Yeah.
And it's brutal.
Not
Like,
easy.
It is not easy. She studies a lot. She jumps on a lot of calls with her friends to, study, study. Like that's literally all she does. And take tests. And, she's loving it. She's loving it, but it's, it takes a lot, and you really have to be driven to get through that. So, to go through 10 years of school and to, or plus, 10 years plus, and now to be at the Pavement Group where you are, absolutely crushing it, from a sale, even when you started as a PC, like you were probably, I don't know, maybe like a month in, and I was like, okay, like I'm comfortable. Maybe 2 months in, like I was like, all right, I'm comfortable with you like running like a lot of these jobs. Like I'm comfortable, like let's still collaborate on them, but like I was very comfortable with like handing you a lot of these projects, and you absolutely crushed it. So what drives like or like what is it in you that like drives you?
So I mean, I think a lot of people will say, just being involved in sports, I think you have that mentality of just like go, and like there's no other option but to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of grown with me through, PT school and, switching careers. But I think another component of it as well is like when I came in here, I'm gonna be completely honest, like I had to go a little bit backwards as far as my base salary to come here. But I knew this was important to me, and I knew I was that passionate about making a change that I was okay with that. There were other ways that I, commission and stuff like that, that I knew that I was going to have the opportunity to make more money. So when I came in here day one, I said, yes, I am going a little bit backwards, but I'm not going to. Like, I am going to make sure that I either match or make more than what I did as a PT. And that was my goal. And in addition to that, I remember it was probably like the second month that I worked here, and Jackie went on vacation, and they're like, wow, Paige, like, can you like take over for Jackie's stuff while she's gone? And I'm like, yup, I can do it. And I was like, I just want them to know that like I can handle this, and like I will do whatever it takes so that you felt confident, so that you could focus on the things that you needed to be successful and, making more sales, you know what I mean? So I think in my head, I just wanted to make sure that everyone like trusted me and had the faith in me that like things are going to happen. The ball's going to be dropped, but like I wanted to try my best to make sure that like I was handling your accounts the way that you wanted them to be handled. And I think it seems like you were happy with the way I was doing that. But I think that was my goal. It's just like failure was not an option.
Yeah.
It was not an option, and my goal was to get to sales, and I made it.
Yeah, you're here.
So, I mean, obviously that's not the end goal. I mean, obviously looking for continued opportunities to grow, but I knew in my head that as far as salary went, as far as making it into the sales world, as far as proving to my family and my friends that like I didn't mess up and make the wrong decision, and myself, like I think I knew though. I knew I was making the right decision. I just needed to convince everyone else of it. So, but yeah, I think just that driven, put your head down and work mentality type of thing.
I love it. I'm built the same way. So, you could ask, anyone in the company who's been here long enough, they'll tell you. You ask Brian or Mike, and they'll tell you that like, I mean, there's probably been a lot of correspondence and emails at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. Like probably even up until this day, but like when you were first working on my projects, I used to get HubSpot notifications on my phone at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh, Paige is working.
Yeah.
Paige is crushing it. And not that everyone needs to do that.
No.
Like to do that every day is, unrealistic. But, sometimes it is required to like put in the extra
For
effort.
sure. And I think, once again, like I agree. Obviously, people have to have the balance, but at the same time, like when I see that my team is willing to go that extra mile, like that's making it, like I want to do that too. Because if you're doing it and I do it and I'm setting that expectation for the person below me, like there's going to be things that happen after hours. Like there's projects that have to be completed after hours. That's just the nature of what we do. And unfortunately, like if that's not for you, that's not for you. But there's going to be times where you need to do stuff where you have deadlines and you didn't get it done between 8 and 5. I think a lot of the times the things that are going to set us as a company apart are the things that happen after 8 to 5. You know what I mean? Because everyone has 8 hours. Like everyone has an 8-hour day, but sometimes you just have to do that a little extra to.
It's crazy is like most people too. Most people like they come in, they quote unquote work 8 hours, and this goes for across the entire world. But most people are just kind of sitting here for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like I always talk about. I'm like most people don't even have to like if you really want to be a top performer, you don't even need to work outside of the hours here. Yeah. If you want to be a top 5% performer at any company, you literally just have to have 8 hours of very focused work.
I agree.
Here. Yeah. Now, if you want to be a top 1%, that might take some work outside. Yeah. Absolutely. It's going to be whatever it takes. But like, if you just want to be like the top like few, like man, all you have to do is make sure that you have focused time at the office, and you're not. I agree. It's okay to like go in, and talk with other people around the office and have fun. Like we do that here, but also at the same time, it's like if you really want to get ahead, if you just take the hours that you're here and you just make those focused hours and you make them productive, like you will absolutely get ahead.
Yep, I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So here's a question. Now you're in sales. Would you ever go back to a salaried or hourly position? No. No?
I truly don't think so. I mean, like I said, I'm keeping the license just in case, but
we just like it too. Like,
it's
an accomplishment.
Yeah,
right?
It's an accomplishment, and it's a part of me, and I'm proud. That's what I always say. I am so proud to be a PT. I know the work time that it took to accomplish that, and it was the hardest years of my life. Like my PT school, it was brutal. It was brutal. I mean,
what was the most brutal thing about it?
Like you said, literally studying at all times. And I think probably I overstudied a little bit.
Sure.
But,
you're an overachiever.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember, it would be Saturday nights, and me and my roommates would be in the library till 2 a.m. I mean, we would literally close the library, and then sometimes, we would even be there late, like during finals. I mean, they had extended hours. We were there until we felt entirely confident that we were going to be successful, and it was rough. It was rough, but doing the same thing like Angel's doing. I mean, I remember my good friend Kevin and I mean, we would study on our own. We would get together and we would literally just drill each other with questions for hours, And that's what I went to school at OU. So everyone's like, "Oh, the party school," and I'm like, I didn't go to one, like they had like those block parties. I never went to a block party in 3 years, which is kind of sad, to be completely honest. Like not to say.
Do you wish that you would have maybe a little bit here and there?
Yeah, I do, but at the same time, like I know I've spoken with other PTs after they took the board exam and stuff, and when I walked out of my board exam, I was like, I killed that. Like I knew that I passed that exam with flying colors, and I pretty much have a good a good idea if I take a test, like did I do good or did I not? And I knew when I left that exam, I felt over prepared, and I thank my professors in grad school for setting me up for success. But I don't know, like would have I felt the same way had I not? I don't know. It's hard to say, but I did the Halloween parties, which.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
Sure, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, Halloween at OU, like that's another thing that's well known for. So I did that.
Sure.
So, but I can't say that there was much fun outside of.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a grind once again, like literally just trying to make it, and be successful, and like it wasn't an option not to graduate or not pass it. Like I had to make it. I didn't want to let my family down. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's to go back to the question too.
Did I not answer it?
No. You answered.
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
no,
did I not
you
answer the question?
No. You're good. I asked, would you ever consider going back to a salary or hourly position? I feel the exact same way. I'm like, I love being compensated for the for the work that I do.
Yeah.
And it's so rewarding for me to be able to lead people in a direction that they can literally change their families' lives. Like it's so rewarding to see that happen. It's very rewarding for me. Like out of anyone on our team, you're probably the number one person that takes the things that that I teach you, or that Brian or anyone else teach you, and actually implements them. Yeah. And that's
because I see how good you're doing, and I'm like, I just want to be a mini Eli. I'm like, I just want to be like, you are amazing, and you are so good at what you do, and obviously it's working for you. So like, why wouldn't I follow it?
Sure.
So. Yeah. But yes, going back to the question, because I don't think I actually answered it. No, I don't think I would ever go back to being a salaried employee, because that was, I think, a lot of what I was having a hard time with. It didn't matter if I saw one patient a day, which that never happened, but if I only saw one patient a day or if I saw 25 patients in a day, I was getting paid the same amount of money. And that, like, I was working really, really hard to see, 3, sometimes 4 patients at a time, and it didn't matter.
That's crazy to me that they, as PTs, you're seeing 3 or 4 patients at a single time. So is it
definitely
like
not safe?
You're like you're like going all over the place, like trying to get people to do the different.
Yeah. Sometimes what I would do would be like put together like a superset of exercises for someone that was like a higher level athlete, just because I trusted them. First of all, I knew that they weren't gonna hurt themselves for the most part, and like I could say, okay, do 3 rounds of 12 of this, and then cycle it through with 3 other exercises, and that gave me 5 minutes while I did manual on someone else or did balance with an elderly woman who like I couldn't step away from. But that was the nature of, I had all these different patients at the same time that were entirely different levels of their physical activity level. Like it's hard, and documenting at the same time as well. So I'm trying to balance these patients, like my time between them, and get all my documentation time in before the end of the day, because I'm not getting paid extra because I was a salary employee. So once 5 o'clock rolled around, I would, or 8 o'clock, because I worked until 7 and 8 p.m., which also was awful. It was not great. So yeah, I love the structure of being rewarded for the work that you're doing. So you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Also, we're a sales-driven company as a whole, right? So like, we do like to reward people on performance. It's one thing that Brian's really passionate about is sales and rewarding people for performance.
Yeah.
And, that's one thing that I've always been drawn to ever since I, met Brian years and years and years ago, was, the fact that he's like, listen, like, we want to reward people for the work that they do. We're even if it's a bonus or something at the end of the year, like we're gonna reward you for it. Like if you're putting in the work, like we will notice. Yeah. So, yeah, Paige, it's been quite a journey, and it's going to be a wild journey as we go into next year. I'm really excited for it. We're going to have to get you on the podcast more, because I think there's a lot more that we can unpack there.
Yeah, for sure.
In regards to how, PT relates to what you're doing now, and especially for other people who might be in other career paths. But we'll have to get you on the podcast here again soon.
Sounds good.
And we can continue to unpack that and share tips and whatever else you want to share.
Comes to mind.
Right? Yeah, right. Exactly. So thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of Talking Lots. Paige, it's been great having you on this one.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Yeah. We'll
have to have you on the Perks and Paving soon.
I look forward to it. Yes. It's going to be good. It's good. You guys is probably, I would say it's probably the number 1 podcast that we have. I think the numbers show it too.
It's kind of crazy to.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
So, you now have your own show.
Yeah.
You and Mark have your own show.
Yeah.
And like, it was shortly after Mark started that you guys started the show. Like, how has your role changed? How's your mean, I guess I could say life changed? Have people like reached out to you and,
Yes.
peers?
So everyone wants to know what kind of company I work for, that I have a podcast that I get to do once a week, and I'm in construction. And so it's kind of fun to explain that. But, it's been great to have Mark be able to help so that I was able to evolve into my new sales role. It's been great having this podcast evolve out of nowhere. I mean, it was the week that I got promoted that it was like, oh, what's the name of your podcast? And I was like, The Perks in Paving. And they're like, boom, you have a podcast. And I'm like, oh, great. What am I going to talk about on a podcast once a week? But it seems to be going well. People are watching, it seems. That's what they're telling us, at least. I don't know. But yeah, it's been really fun to watch the last 6 months kind of unravel. And it just makes us so excited, both Mark and I, for the future. It's
Who knows what it could turn into?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. So.
Never know. The right person listens and like, I like them.
Yeah.
You never know what that could turn into.
You never know. We'll see.
Well, cool.
Yep.
Well, this has been great, Paige. Like I said, we'll get you on the podcast again here soon, and we can continue to unpack a lot of these things. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Talking Lots, and we will catch you soon. Peace.
See ya.